it does demand a high work ethic and spirit when you're out there playing. So that's something everyone can do that, you know. That should be a given, that everyone's going to give 100% every game.
How important is a manager to a club? I mean, you mentioned there that, you know, in some regards a manager's only as good as his players, but how important is that kind of...
No, that isn't in some regards. I believe opposite. I think you can have good players, but it's a manager that makes a team.
Yeah.
And you probably heard that said before, but I know that to be true just from my experience of playing. Like, you've got to have as a manager, you've got to have your own philosophy on how the game wants to be played, and you've got to make the 11 players that go out there buy into that, and you've all got to, you know, they've all got to be pulling in the same way.
Yeah. And as regards David, I mean, he's obviously done pretty well at Ilkeston and now at Mansfield. I mean, you played at a higher level. Is he someone you think can go a lot higher eventually? Yeah,
definitely. It's results, isn't it? And at the minute he's getting them, and I'm sure he knows as much as everyone else. It's fickle, like, so he's got to make the most of it, and he's got to keep achieving and making his teams do well and play well, because it's the same as anything. It's results. Like, if he does it, hopefully for Mansfield, it'll not be for a few years, but if he does move on, it'll be because he's been successful here.
I suppose you mentioned the fickle nature. I mean, look at Darren Ferguson yesterday. I mean,
that's unbelievable,
got
yeah.
2 promotions. I mean, do you think that's changed as well in terms of the manager's landscape from when you...
Yeah, it has. But you mentioned Darren Ferguson. I just find it crazy stuff like that. There's not a manager in England to match that record at a minute, and yet he's getting sacked not 3 months into a season. So I find stuff like that strange, and I'm not bothered what team you are. I don't know what they were expecting Peterborough. Surely when they went up, they were expecting a tough season. So I find stuff like that strange. I don't know if stuff's gone off behind the scenes, which sometimes it does happen, but we never hear about.
I mean, from your point of view, I guess, do you think managers perhaps used to get a bit more time? I mean,
yeah, they did. You'd tend to see a lot more. I remember when I used to go watch football, just mentioning Barnsley now, you'd have, you know, a lot of seasons, mid-table. And it was sort of accepted, do you know what I mean? But now, mid-table, a club or supporters, chairman, anyone at the club want to see a club progress. Every year they want to see them get more points or finish in high position, and obviously it's just common sense. Not everyone can do that, can they? So
you think clubs would be better off then, you know, being a bit more patient, perhaps, and, you know, I mean,
you can, but we never know. Let's say we only see results of clubs, don't we? We don't know how a manager is, you know, to his players, to his staff, to this and the other, and it can be little things like that as well that can sway a board's mind. You know, might be personal between a chairman and a manager. They might not get on, or they might be good friends, so it might get longer. You never know.
Just looking at Crawley, I mean, you obviously saw that game from the stands, the first game of the season, but obviously then having lost 4-0, I guess that would be motivation in itself for them.
Exactly, yeah, and you know, they went after us beating them. I think did they win the next 3 or something like that? They did really well, so it shows what a good result that was at the start of the season. And to be honest, that first game was what we were all about. How we played with that intensity, and you know, got off to a good start and never let it slip. So they'll know what to expect from us, I would have thought, and they'll be, you know, doing everything in their power to turn it round.
I suppose that good start's been key for us in a lot of games this season, both at home and away. I think, you know, the sort of last two away wins, we've got that early goal. How important is it to stamp your authority on the game, particularly away from home?
It is, yeah, definitely. And it's like I said, what it does as well, you don't know how the other team's going to react. Some teams, as we've said before, could go under and maybe not fancy, but if you start sloppily and you give a team a foothold in a game, then they've got the confidence to go forward, and you know, it can change people's mindsets, and they, you know, might be going to enjoy the game. Whereas if we can make it difficult for them, make it a tough game, that's what we want.
Lovely, thank you very much.
All right.
Obviously, you've got none of the last 3 games unbeaten away from home. Do you think this is perhaps...
How many games have you unbeaten then?
Altogether 6.
There you go.
Yeah. The away games in particular, I mean, that's something that's turned around. I mean, do you think this is going to be perhaps the hardest one of this little batch of away games you've got?
All the games that you play are hard. If you make it hard, if you don't defend correctly, you allow. Look at York last night. York taking a first-minute lead, and then Chester concede again straight after half time. So you manage the minutes. You know, go down there, and they didn't. I've said Chester have conceded straight away, so it puts York on the front foot at home. They've clawed their way back into the game and ended up losing 3-2. But if you're Chester's manager, you're thinking, manage their minutes a bit better. The first minute in the game, and then the 2 minutes into the second half. So you've conceded 2 goals at vital moments in them matches. So you know, we might have to play the game having a mentality of perhaps, you know, professionalism, as I call it.
Obviously, the last away defeat was the Barrow game, and you mentioned that, you know, I suppose that might be a similar type of game. So do you think this game's going to show whether the players perhaps learn from that?
Well, you know, we've lost games on the road, but we also won games on the road. How many games did Mansfield win last year on the road?
Well, I think
well, we've done all right then, haven't we? And it's November, so you know, lots changed. As I say, I keep reminding people that this our away form, you know, isn't as bad as people perhaps make it out. But you can only do that by convincing people by keep turning out results. You know, go Forest Green. The club are happy. They've got the till's going to go ching again, and they've got, you know, another a few quid through the turnstiles. Away form is what it is. You know, you have to go there and have that strong mentality. That's why I say we've changed the ethics. I mean, at home, you know, it speaks for itself. But yeah, I want us to go down there and be professional. You know, I'm not talking about what other clubs do when they come here, like slowing the game down and taking 20 minutes to take a throw in and a corner. But you have to manage it. It's mentality, isn't it?
That's right. Fitness-wise,
no fresh injuries, which is very pleasing. So it means if I do leave somebody out, it's on merit. All good.
Yeah.
All right, gents.
Yeah.